The attitude is it can't be done because they haven't seen it. They're judging according to appearances. The people that are going to make it in the future, the people that are making it today, let me share something with you. History is being read, but it's also being written by people with imagination.
Hey, welcome to Next Level Nurses. I'm your host, Joel McDonald, and the founder of nextlevelnurses.com. This is episode 2 of season 2, and I'm so glad you're here to join me and to listen to what I've done some research on today. Some of the things that we're going to be talking about are comparing the agencies and understanding what agencies out there are great and if there's any differences out there. And then we're going to talk about recruiters, what recruiter is best for you, and understanding how to pinpoint the right things to look for in a good recruiter. And to understand, it's okay to interview the recruiter, to understand if this is the right recruiter for you. Not all recruiters are. And then lastly, we are going to talk about how to break up with a recruiter. I got some bonus content in today's episode. I did an interview with Hugo, a former traveler. He traveled for a couple years, went to a bunch of fun places, had an opportunity to go to Hawaii, and I would love for you to hear that as well. That's going to be in the middle of the episode. So let's get right to it. I can't wait for you to listen to this. I've done a lot of research in preparation of today's episode, and I think it's going to be very helpful for you. So if you have any questions, go to nextlevelnurses.com. You can send me a message there in the chat, or on the very bottom, if you need a recruiter to represent you and help you find a job, go there as well. I got some bonus content coming out this week. I meet with Brandy Johnson. She is a global writer. She does a great job writing resumes, and we talked to her about your resume and how you can improve it for when you're applying at different hospitals or for a travel nursing job. And then later on the following week, we have a bonus content with a 50 to 60 year old couple who are using their home on Airbnb as well as a spare bedroom, and it's an interesting way for you to make an extra little bit of income while you're away for 13 weeks. So can't wait for you to hear all the bonus content and my episodes to come out every Monday. Again, go to nextlevelnurses.com, see the amazing content on there, and let's get started with today's episode. All right, let's dive right into it, and let's talk about the agencies. Now, to understand the agencies and who is the best agency for you, we need to understand market shares and why that's so important. Market shares is a list of companies that own a percentage of the market. In travel nursing, if you took the total amount of travelers, which is 39,000 to 44,000 in 2017, and you list all the companies that represent those travelers, and you put them in percentages or a pie chart, you'll be able to see visually or understand market share for the travel nurse industry. Let me give you 2 examples of market share in 2 industries I think you'll really understand and relate to. There is the phone industry, the company that actually makes the phone that you're listening to this podcast through. Here it is. In the phone industry, there are 5 companies, and this information is from statavista.com. They do all these stats, and I actually got some great stats in the travel nurse industry as well as for the phone and for the carrier industry. Now, there's 5 companies, like I said, that own the market. Samsung owns 20% of the market. Apple owns 12.1% of the market. Huawei owns 15.8%, Xiaomi owns 9.3%, and Oppo owns 8.6%. Those last 3 companies you may never have heard of. They are majority in China. There are some here in the US. Actually, I really like a Huawei phone. But one of the things that you're going to see here is on the top, the Samsung and Apple. They own such a large percent of the company that actually there's a double-digit gaps between the lower margin of the companies to them. What makes that important is that Samsung and Apple have now become a household name, and there's also a fandom that goes with it. Okay? Now, let's look at the carriers. Carriers, there are Verizon and AT&T. They own 30% each one of them. So Now, the reason I'm telling you all this, you might say, as a nurse, why is this important? You don't really care about this. You want to know more about travel nurse industries and the agencies that back them up. Well, understanding this is very important because I'm going to explain some numbers coming up in just a second, and you're going to notice that there's such a difference in the numbers. Like I said, Samsung, Apple, Verizon, AT&T, these are the top dogs of the industry, okay? 5 companies that own 66.7% of the market. In travel nurse industry, there are over 39 companies controlling 66% of the market. That is baffling in business. It's so hard to say, okay, one has a household name, this is better, that's better, and we're going to go over some of the differences of these companies, but I did this research before this for this podcast, and it was an incredible amount of stuff to go through because of that percentage of market share. When I talk about 66% of the 60% of the market share, that means 240 companies have an average of 60 travelers on assignment. Okay. Second part that makes this really difficult is 3% of the people leave reviews. So in doing this research, I had 1.8 reviews per company that controls the market share. Now let's look at the nurse travel industry. There's roughly 300 nurse agencies out there with 39 to 44,000 travel nurses. So not one of these companies control the market. And actually, in doing my research, there are 39 companies that control 66% of the market. And remember when we were talking about earlier how if you have 5 companies or 2 companies that own a larger percentage of the market, you can have 1 or 2 companies competing against each other with more money backing them up to create a better product for you. Okay? Now, with 39 companies out there controlling 66% of the market, that's a large competing industry. That means 39 companies are trying to get into your faces with advertisements on Facebook, Indeed, or even LinkedIn. 39 companies are also reaching out to hospitals on your behalf. 39 companies are calling you. 39 companies are texting you, and 39 companies are sending you voicemails and emails, harassing you probably. And I'm guilty of doing that as a recruiter. But what that also means is that there's 39 companies out there that are on the top saying that they're different. But greater than that, there's 240 companies out there competing to be a top 39. Does that make sense? So 240 companies are flooding you with the same information and garbage that really only the top should be flooding you with, or really only the top that you should be noticing. Before looking at the data that I'm going to share with you, I want you to understand this. There's a second part to my whole analogy earlier. The second part is this: 3% of people leave reviews. So in this data that I've compiled, it's really only about 1.8 review per company. That's extremely low, especially if you know anything about statistics. In college, we learned about how it takes 32 to equal correct average sample size. So 1.8 review per company doesn't give me enough to really feed on. So I decided to look at something different. I went to each website of the top 20 travel nurse agencies out there, and I said, I'm going to look at the benefits. What benefits do they offer you, the nurse, that are important? Let's go over that. I'm going to go over the 5 most interesting travel nurse agencies. The first one I'm going to go over is Prime Time Healthcare, and like I said, these all fell under the top 20. Prime Time Healthcare benefits package said mileage reimbursement, car rental, flights, competitive pay package, 24/7 customer service, private housing, bonuses, license and certification reimbursement. The next one's going to be FlexCare Medical Staffing. I went to their website, looked for benefits, couldn't find it. I found a tab that said, why FlexCare? And this is what it listed. Single point, with the I spelled as a 1. Next one is max pay, nationwide jobs, virtual recruiter, award news, testimonial. So what's the benefits? I'm really confused on that one, and it's kind of funny. It's like you look at their website, nice website, but when you're looking to find benefits, I can't find it anywhere on the site. All I found was why FlexCare. They have a bunch of lists of things that I don't understand. And if anyone owns a company out there, I always say this: build it for the user, not for the company. The company says, "Oh, we know what single point is, or we know what max pay is." What is that to the user? I don't get it. Anyways, next one is called Host Healthcare. Their benefits are listed really simple at medical, dental, vision, voluntary benefits, access perks, car reimbursement, deluxe, ooh, fancy word, free private housing, license reimbursement, tuition reimbursement, scrub reimbursement, and travel reimbursement. The next long one is going to be Travel Nurse Across America. That's the agency's name. Weekly pay is one of their benefits, which they all do. Assignment benefits summary: your pay is paid. That's what they listed. I'm reading verbatim. Low census protection, paid sick leave, tax compliancy, which if the companies weren't tax compliant, then how could they be a company? Anyways, moving on. Travel reimbursement, housing, free continuing education, insurance, and multiple bonus opportunities. The other company I want to tell you about is Fusion Medical Staffing Agency. No info. Could not find any couldn't find any benefits on their website. The next one, a large one, is Atlas MedStaff Agency. 0 places on their website can you find the word benefits. And if anyone from Atlas is out there going to argue with me, I actually did the source HTML and just Control F search benefits. Never came up. The next one I want to tell you about is Access Medical Staffing. They have health insurance, paid personalized housing option, pet friendly, direct deposit, online pay, a company matching 401k, and license reimbursement. So now here's the next bit of information that I actually did. I went ahead and called those 5 companies that I just told you about and asked for their benefits. And when I compiled that list of data, it's actually worthless to go over because they are all identical. And when a company said they gave me their benefits, the person on the phone, and which was very similar to the website, what they listed, and I just went over: medical, dental, vision, access perks, car rental, license reimbursement. I asked them, I said, hey, another company out there is giving me scrub reimbursement. You guys don't then? The answer was no, we do also give you scrub reimbursements. Okay. Then I talked to Triage Staffing Agency and I asked them, I said, another company's giving me travel reimbursement. Do you guys? And they said, yes, they do, even though it's not listed on their website. Fusion Medical Staffing Agency, I asked them if they give dental benefit, and they said that they do. And the last one is Chesapeake Medical Staffing Agency. When I called them, I asked them if they reimburse for license and certifications, and they said they do. Again, all those things I just went over are not listed on their website, even though they do offer those benefits. So it sounds really confusing, but what I'm finding is this pattern that they all offer the same benefits, even though they list it or don't list it on their website. So this makes it super difficult when looking at the top 39 companies or the top 20 companies that own the 66% of the market, or the rest of the 240 companies out there that are competing for that market share. So to answer Cheryl's question, how do you, the nurse, find the best agency out there if they're all the same? If all the agencies were not the same, then you would see a gap in market ownership. But because you don't, you can also see through the numbers and through the data I just gave you that all the agencies out there are the same, with very, very minor differences, if any, that you can find. So how do you, the nurse? Well, to answer that question again, Cheryl, you find the right recruiter. The recruiters make the difference in the world for you, not the agency.
It's necessary you take responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally, that you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program.
While we take a quick intermission, I hope this podcast has been incredibly helpful for you. I got some incredible nuggets to come in just a moment about how to choose the right recruiter and the 7 tips about it. But beforehand, I reached out to a past traveler to hear his experience when he was traveling. So take it away, Hugo.
So, one of the things that I enjoyed about being a traveling contract therapist was the fact that I was able to try out many different settings for practicing therapy. And I know yours is nurses, but nonetheless, I was able to work in a hospital for 13 weeks. I worked in a nursing home for 13 weeks. I did home health for 13 weeks. I did an outpatient clinic for 13 weeks. And in doing all of these settings, I was able to find out which one I enjoyed the most, but never get affected on my pay, which, back then I was just about to get married, so that meant a lot to me that I was making as, much money as I could, and without having to worry about the fact that I wouldn't have money or wouldn't have a job. That's always a scary thing, trying out new jobs. So it allowed me to travel and try out new jobs, new types of positions. I worked in multiple different cities, and kind of found out exactly where I wanted to work and for who I wanted to work for. And at the end of the whole travel assignments, ended up finding out home health was where I wanted to be, and the company ended up buying me out of my contract.
Wow, Hugo, that's just awesome. I wanted to ask you though, do you have any regrets when you were traveling?
Yeah. One of my regrets is that I didn't take enough distance travel positions. I was offered a position in Hawaii as a PTA, making more money than I'm currently made in Florida, and did not take that position because I was just newly engaged, and I thought it would stress our relationship. And it probably would have a little bit, but I think it would have been fine. But yeah, I wish I would have traveled. Because to travel to Hawaii, you get paid to travel to Hawaii for 13 weeks, or that one was 26 weeks, I think. It was a long-term travel position. But yeah, the house was taken care of. Food would have been taken care of, and I would have made more money than I make. So it would have been a win-win-win. And I regret not taking that. That would have been a cool experience, just to travel such a far place and do that. So that's my experience with travels.
You must have faith. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas, unquestionably. You've got to have faith, and that faith gives you patience. That it's not going to happen as quickly as you want it to happen. When you got an idea, you want to move on. You might not have the money. You might not have the education. You might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream?
Wow, powerful. Welcome back. Let's look at the recruiter. I put together 7 things that you should look for in a recruiter to choose the right one. Here they are. stellar communication skills, honesty, accessibility, trustworthiness, patience, pleasant working style, success at his or her job. These are the things you need to be looking for in the nurse and when interviewing the recruiter. Let's break it down. Stellar communication skills. Being able to communicate with a recruiter. This is something Nicole, a nurse traveler for 10 years in the Boston area, said. Your recruiter is the first contact in the travel nursing world and someone you will stay in close contact throughout the traveling career. It can be an overwhelming experience deciding what city to move to, where to live, and choosing your place to work, and not to mention licensing forms, taxes, insurances, and things. The general headaches associated with frequently moving as well. That's why stellar communication skills is so important. Now, I'm getting some of this information from travelnurses.com, which they said 9 to 10 travel nurses choose their recruiter over their agency. And in fact, in that article, they've talked about how the nurses didn't even know the agency's name when asked right away. They knew the recruiter's name immediately. Number 2 is honesty. A good recruiter tells it like it is. Whether you're trying to decide if your travel nursing position might work for you or dealing with a situation while you're already on an assignment, or even you want to work with someone who will relay the facts and portray all the information as accurately as possible. But the type of honesty, should be a two-way street. In order to build a successful working relationship between you, the nurse, and the recruiter, it needs to be a two-way communication. Let them know your wants and needs. Recruiters, like myself, I'm not a mind reader, and it is essential that you're upfront, you're honest from the moment of communication. Now, number 3, which is my personal favorite, is accessibility. Now let's think about this. You're in an unknown area, unknown hospital, unknown coworkers, unknown home, hotel, wherever you're living. Unknowns everywhere. And those unknowns can be scary. So we have to think about them now. You nurses out there, you're the hardest working individuals I've met. You work crazy shifts, sometimes day, nights, mornings, weekends. Your schedules are 12 hours, 8 hours, and 10 hours sometimes. They're insane. I sometimes have a hard time getting a hold of you. It shouldn't be the other way around. Is your recruiter a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. person? Now, I'll talk to you when I first talk to you. Yeah, I'm gonna give you my work number and my work email address. But when we're actually finding an assignment and I'm gonna get you in that assignment and you're showing up on a certain day, I'm gonna give you my cell phone number because if a situation happens, I don't want you to have to wait till Monday to get a hold of me. I want you to be able to communicate, get a hold of me, even if you just want to talk. You're, like I said, in an unknown city, you don't know what to do. You're like, hey, I don't know what to do. Let me just text Joel. Hey, I'm in Boston. What is there to do around me? I just got out of work. I know it's 10 in the morning, but what is there to do? Listen, I'm going to go the extra mile. Let me do the extra work for you so that way you're happy. Number 4, trustworthiness. Travelers want an honest, dedicated, attentive recruiter. A recruiter said in this article that I read from travelnurse.com, I like a recruiter who gets to know me and treats me as an individual, who understands that not all positions are right for everyone and has the ability to find the right contact for me. This reminds me of a story. I have a coworker that works behind me, Taylor. A job popped open for this nurse. The account manager calls up Taylor and says, hey Taylor, your nurse has this specialty, looking to go to this city. I just want to talk to you about this job. Talks about. Taylor goes, you know what? I know it's good. It's paying well. Everything matches what she wants, but it doesn't have a daycare. She's looking for a 5-star daycare in the city, and unfortunately, I couldn't find one there, so we have to cross it off the list. He talked to her later on that afternoon just to let her know about the position that opened up, and they were talking about other things. And she was so grateful that he was looking out for her needs, for the little one's needs. Number 5, patience. Patience truly is a virtue. And in today's fast-paced society, it might be more important than ever. A patient traveler and a patient recruiter takes the time to listen, to answer questions, and provide reassurance. Number 6, pleasant working style. You want to find someone who can connect with you. and with whom you can quickly establish a bond. And in many cases, these travel nurses end up building a long-time relationship and friendship with your recruiter. And like I said about working style, I could show you a picture of my desk, and I wish I could. Maybe I'll post it somewhere so you can see it. It's organized, it's clean. I'm a clean person, I'm organized. I look forward. And lastly, number 7, success at his or her job. This is a very interesting one. It's another must-have, a trait for a nurse recruiter is that he or she knows how to find the right job for you and can serve as a career advisor. You want someone who is going to go the extra mile and search out the assignment that meets your special's needs. Like I said, how important this one is. Good at their job. It's hard for you to understand this, and I think throughout this podcast, you'll understand what it takes for a recruiter to be good at their job. But in my circumstance, and an example I can give you recently is I submitted a nurse for a job. I wanted her to get $1,700 a week, but I told her up front, I said the goal is $1,700, but let's expect the low to be $1,500. And the reason being is because I know that 31 people applied for this job, so I'm going to do the best I can to position myself to go after this job because she really wanted it. This was a high priority location for her. It wasn't about the pay for her, it was about the location. So I wasn't going to say, okay, it's about location, so I'm going to give you the lowest pay and so I can pocket the rest. It doesn't work that way for me in my position with my agency. It works for me that I get her that location. And if I can get her that location at the highest pay as possible, it's a win-win for both of us. But like I said, I was good at my job. I reached out to my account manager. I said, what do I need to pitch for my weekly pay so I can get her an interview this Monday, even though it's a holiday? We went after it aggressively, and we succeeded. The last thing I want to talk about real quick is breaking up with your recruiter. Now, after everything we've talked about, is it the right agency? Doesn't matter if it's the right agency because they're all the same. Is it the right recruiter? That does matter. Does your recruiter have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 of those traits that I talked about? And are they important to you? They are important for you to have a successful nursing travel career. Even if it's 2 years, that time point, if it's 2 years, if you treat it like a career, you can have fun and be successful at the same time. But if you're going to treat it like a job, then I'm the wrong recruiter to work with. But if you're going to be dedicated and treat it like a career, I would love to work with you. But to break up with your current recruiter, if they're not being patient with you, and they're not being accessible, they're not honest with you all the time, they don't have stellar communication skills, and maybe you don't have stellar communication skills with them. It's simple. Go to nextlevelnurses.com and on the very bottom, fill out the form for me to get a hold of you, and I'll call you personally and talk to you and see if I'm the best recruiter for you. I'm very honest. I'll talk to you, see what your needs are. I'll be patient and let you know, like I said, if I'm the best recruiter for you or advise someone that is. In our company, like I said, my agency, we have some of the best recruiters out there, I personally believe. They work in the same office as me. I get to hear them every day. I get to hear the struggles they go through. I get to see how early they get to work, how late they're there, when they come in on Monday, what they're talking about over nurses that they spoke to over the weekends. They work just like I do, 24-hour recruiters. And you need a 24-hour recruiter because you're 24-hour a nurse. All right, that is it for today's podcast. Make sure you listen for next week's podcast. They come out every Monday. Week 3 is going to be an incredible podcast. It's going to be why you should be exclusive with your recruiter. I know why you're not getting the interviews. I know why you submit for a job and you never get an interview back. The reason, it's really simple. It's actually in your job notes, and I'll tell you about that. Your recruiter may not be telling you, and they might not be transparent about that with you. And does having one of the things I want to answer in that next podcast is going to be, does having more than one recruiter give you a negotiating power? So definitely tune in. It comes out September 10th. A bonus content coming up soon is I spoke to Brandy Johnson. She is a global resume writer, an incredible person. You got to hear her story. It's going to be on the website, nextlevelnurses.com. Go check it out. Should we go over some of the pros and cons of having a great profile? And you know what? I got an extra bonus for you. Go to my website, nextlevelnurses.com, where it says bonus content under Brandy Johnson. Either reach out to her by clicking her picture or download the resume example there. I created a resume. I have to take your resumes, which I'll be honest aren't great, but that's okay, and I have to create them into the resumes that I know the hospitals are looking for. And I spoke to Brandy Johnson, and we got some incredible insight, and we put together a format that you should follow. So download that or reach out to her. If you're a professional, have a professional write your resume. It takes one time, it's done, and then all you have to do is add jobs as it comes along. She's not that expensive. She was an honest person when I spoke to her. And then another bonus content is when you're on a travel assignment, what do you do with your home, or a spare room that you have? Listen, if a 50 and 60-year-old couple can rent their home on Airbnb and their spare bedroom at their other apartment, I think you can do it also. But like I said, it's a bonus content. It's coming out soon. I did a great interview with them about that. So like I said, go check out nextlevelnurses.com, and I will see you next week. Send all your questions to me on nextlevelnurses.com or to my LinkedIn page at Joel MacDonald.
Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible.